What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're having a national report, and this time we have James, who is talking about his Canadian experience with his Canadian Nationals experience with his Mega Manectric Toolbox deck. He played Mega Manectric, which has the Turbo Ball to attach 2 basic energy cards for every discard pile to 1 of your bench Pokemon. He played a Trevenant-EX, which you really haven't seen that much, with the Wood Blast 50. And this attack does 20 more damage to each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. Dark Force 20, the defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. We talked about the Giratina. And as you see, there's a lot of different cards in this deck. He plays a Mew as well with the Memories of Dawn, which is you can copy any basic Pokemon to play, which you still need the necessary energies. Hoopa, Shaymin, 2 Jolteon, Mega Manectric-EX. We talk about the Parallel City. We talk about his energy line as well, which is very interesting. 2 Grass, 2 Psychic, 2 DC, and 6 Lightning energies. Parallel City, which he goes in detail about. The Rough Seas is pretty much straightforward because he does play these Lightning Pokemon, which is pretty nice to heal. And there you go, guys. There's his deck list. But if you give me a second, we'll see the interview. It's a really, really good interview. Make sure you check it out. But thanks for watching, and let's see the interview right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're doing a national report. This time we're talking about Canada. And what's your name?
My name is James McInnes.
Alrighty. We just saw your list a second ago, the Manectric, I guess, toolbox kind of deck. And I guess before we jump into, nationals and how it went, how'd you come up with the deck? Like, we really haven't seen Mega Manectric being played that much, and you have this, like, really different variant going on here.
Okay, good question. So I started just playing this year about like 10 months ago, right after Ancient Origins came out, and I collected when I was younger and stuff, and so I had just started playing, and I bought an Ancient Origins booster box, and I saw Regice, and I'm like, this is a really cool attack, and so I was trying to find things to pair Regice with, so I tried like Regice and Bats, and then I tried Regice and Manectric, and I was like, ooh, I really like Manectric with Regice. So I bought all these Manectrics. So it was kind of like the first deck I had was Manectric, and just so I got comfortable building stuff with Manectric. And then leading into Nationals, Manectric kind of struggles with Night March. So Night March was scary, but at the Canadian Nationals, I wasn't expecting as much Night March. And I was like, well, Jolteon really does well against this Darkrai Giratina deck that everyone's hyping up. It does well against Water Box. Manectric does well against Trevenant. And if I can find a way to kind of even out my matchups against Night March and Greninja, I'm like, this will be the perfect deck to play. So I kind of tested stuff with Manectric, and there was a states in, I think, Washington states that had a Manectric Giratina back in the states championships, and like that idea had kind of stuck with me, like to help against Night March. And then I had the Trevenant-EX for Greninja mainly, and because he hits for weakness, and so against Greninja you attack early on with like just the regular Manectric, and then the Mega, so you're taking like KO after KO, but then the trouble comes when you're not one-hit KOing the breaks later on. So the Trevenant kind of solves that issue, because Trevenant's one-hit KOing breaks once it has 2 grass, or even if you just have 1 grass and whatever and you weaken them. So that was kind of how the deck came together. I kind of had like the Eureka moment with the Trevenant-EX and the Giratina on the Tuesday before Nationals, so like 4 days before Nationals. And up to that point, I was just testing everything else, trying to figure out, and I was like, yeah, Jolteon's really good, Trevenant's really good, Giratina's really good against Night March, and yeah, I liked it.
All right, so let's talk about Nationals. How did day 1 go? What did you play against?
Round 1, I played against Randy Ramturi, and he was playing Night March, and that one I guess I drew well. I'm not sure how experienced he was as a player. Too, he kind of made some plays that made it easier for me to do well. Like he kind of burned through resources a little too fast. So when you see them and they're forced to time puzzle for dimensional values, or as opposed to DCEs, like those sorts of things, or for target whistles, like it's good for you. Game 2, I had like the perfect hand, so I started Jolteon. My hand was like a bunch of energies and a Sycamore and a Hex Maniac, and I was like, okay, I'll attach Lightning and I'll Hex Maniac, and then he goes, and then I Next turn, Sycamore, and I got the DCE. So I just attached DCE, and it's like, all right, well, flash right, and there's nothing in my discard really for him to target whistle, whatnot, and it was pretty straightforward from there. So I won that one pretty easily. Next one, round 2, it was on stream against Michael Topless, and that was Darkrai, Giratina, Garbodor. And he didn't really have anything for Jolteon, so it was really easy. He powered up Latios because he thought the second attack might hit through Jolteon, but it doesn't. So that was kind of too bad for him. He didn't really have anything for Jolteon, so that was pretty easy. Round 3 was Henry Ho. He played Darkrai, Giratina, Garbodor as well. Jolteon just kind of runs through that really well. He played it really well though. Yeah, game 2 was really close. It came down to I had to get versus Seeker. He ended me to I think 2, and I just had to hit a versus Seeker. I had like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 cards in deck, and I hit it, and then so I won. So that was good. Then round 4 was Zach Fortier. I met him actually on PTCGO a while back, and so it was cool to meet him in real life. He was playing Waterbox, so Jolteon is just really good against Waterbox, and he didn't realize until the second game that against Jolteon you want to use Chilling Sigh or the whatever Regice's first attack is. So you want to use one of those 2 attacks really to stop the Jolteon from attacking for a turn. He didn't figure that out until the next game, so that was an easy series for me. Then round 5 was against Jordan Burlock, and he was playing Trevenant. And I have 2 DCEs in the deck, as you saw, and I'll talk about how I added those. But those just increase your Trevenant matchup so much, because if you start with a Hoopa or you start with a Shaymin, like you can attach and you can retreat, or you can Sky Return, and that's really good. Or if you're head-ringered, you can attach to Mega Manectric and attack if you have the Lightning on there. So that was a pretty easy matchup. Then round 6 was against Nick Danny Cruces, and he was playing Waterbox. And yeah, sorry if I'm messing up any of these names here to any of the guys out there. He was playing Waterbox as well, so Jolteon is just really good against that. So I definitely hit some good matchups for Jolteon mainly. And Nick played it pretty well. He was Chilling Sighing and stuff, and but I mean, it's still so favorable when you have the Mega attacking for 110. Even if they do Chilling Sign, I run the 1 switch. So you just conserve the switch, you save the switch that you can go back into it. You also have AZ. AZ is really good if they put you to sleep or they paralyze you, because you AZ Jolteon and then you Turbo Bolt to like power it up for the next turn. So you have a lot of options with the deck. And then round 7, I ID'd with Jacob Lesage. He was playing Vespiquen Vileplume, so that's a favorable matchup for Manectric, but we were just kind of IDing to get in anyways. And then with Eric von der Schaaf, he was playing Zygarde. And so I ID'd with him, thankfully. That was nice to ID with him. And then automatically went to day 2, and I was 2nd seed.
That's very nice. So 602 going to day 1. Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, I didn't lose any matches the whole day. Like 2-0, 2-0, 2, like all throughout, just because Jolteon was so good.
Jolteon's so good.
Yeah.
All right. So going to day 2, are you nervous against any matches, or are you pretty confident?
Yeah. So I'm facing YZG. I'm facing a 2-time national champion, and Edward Kwong, Kwong. So I was a little nervous about the matchup because I hadn't really played the matchup with the Giratina in it. And I didn't really know how it would play out, and it was too late to really test with any of my friends. We tried, when we got back to the hotel, tried to hop on PTCGO. We couldn't log in. I was like, okay, I'll sleep, and I'll see how it goes in the new day.
All right, so how did top 8 go?
So top 8, he kind of dead drew game 1, and I won game 1. And I was like, oh, sweet, like maybe there's hope. Game 2, it was a back and forth. He ended up winning that one. And then it went to game 3. And so game 3, I'm like, oh, there's so much on the line. Because it's like, if I win game 3, then I advance to top 4, which gives me automatic day 2 at Worlds, which is huge for my first year playing, to go automatically to day 2. And also, pretty much if I win this matchup, I have favorable matchups throughout. Like I'm going to face either Mega Rayquaza, Vespiquen Vileplume, or Metal. And all those matchups are really good for me. I've tested all those matchups. They're really nice. But I had to get through this guy. So game 3, it ended up, it was pretty close. I started off, and I had like the perfect hand to set up Giratina. And it's funny because my teammates were giving me a hard time the day before, like, so you're included Giratina. Did you use Giratina? Was it worthwhile? They were trying to convince me to not run it. So I start with this perfect hand. I have Ultra Ball. I have Psychic. I have Grass in hand, so I can Ultra Ball both those guys, right? So I can just Turbo Bolt the next turn and like get Giratina set up. And so I did that. So I played that out. I get Giratina set up like right away. And I ended up to power him up. I turbo bolted onto his active Gallade, so 110 on the Gallade, and I power up the Giratina with the 2 energies. Then the next turn he goes, he knocks out my Mega, so then I promote Jolteon. And so now I have my hand, I have Max Elixir, and I have about 17 cards in deck at the most, and I have a Sycamore. So I also have a Mew on bench. So I play my Max Elixir, and draw the 6 cards, and there's a lightning energy. And so I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I know if I attack, based on his board state, he had active Gallade with 110 damage and 2 Zoruas. 1 had a Muscle Band, and that's it. That's all his bench. Once I attack with Giratina, he can't attach DCE, he can't, like, it's going to make him harder to Gallade, and even if he does, he has to manually power it up. All I have to do is attack with Giratina, I'm pretty much going to win. I Max Elixir, I hit the Lightning, and I'm like, I want to attach it to Giratina, because I know I want to power him up, but I got the 2 DCEs. I'm going to attach it to Mew just in case I whiff a DCE. And that was the misplay that lost me the game. So I attach it to the Mew, and then I Sycamore, and I whiff the DCE, but I hit another Max Elixir. And I was like, oh man, if I hit this, I'm just going to feel really dumb. I play the Max Elixir, I hit it, it's a Grass, and I'm like, shoot. So I just attach it to my bench Manectric so that because I'm probably going to hit DCE next turn. Or at this point, it's kind of like I have to also power up a Mega at this point. So I do that, then I promote Mew, attack with Mew. Then the next turn I get the DCE and I'm attacking with Giratina, but I was 1 turn too late. Ended up losing because of I figured I was playing too conservatively because I was like, even if I don't power up Giratina, I still want to have an out. I still want to have a way to attack, but I should have just gone for Giratina. That was like my win condition, and I missed it. I felt so bad after. I felt so stupid. Like, oh, I threw that away. And yeah, I went, and Sebastian Cremo was there, and Simon Ford, and they were like some of my friends, so I talked with them. I felt a lot better after, and yeah, I learned from it. And that's what's good, right? You want to, when you make misplays, you want to learn from them. You don't want to say like, oh, it was bad luck or something. Like, you want to improve as a player if you have that mentality. So it's good. Yeah, that was he. And Edward won, and then he lost to I think Metal is what he lost to. Yeah.
Oh, in top 4.
Yeah, in top 4.
Yeah. But still, I mean, getting top 8, first nationals, first year playing, went 602. Almost getting top 16 is a pretty crazy for a first year.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, talk about the deck some. You played the Giratina.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that?
So I had to try to find a way to get around Night March. And my logic was, if I play, really good Night March players, I don't know how I win other than, Giratina. Once Giratina attacks, if it has basic energies attached, you pretty much win because they don't have a way. They don't have a way to disrupt that. So I had like a win condition. But against players who aren't as experienced, it's a lot easier to get that win condition. And so I'm like, all right, I don't feel like the best players at the Canadian Nats are going to be playing Night March. So I think Giratina will help me get past enough. Jolteon's also really good against Night March, depending, on the skill of the player that you're playing against. States, yes, at States I played Manectric Jolteon. It was just straight electric Jolteon, and I faced 3 Night March. I faced 4 Night March during the day. No, I faced 5 Night March during the day. I beat 2, tied 1, lost to 1, and I made top 8. And then my top 8 matchup was Garchomp. Like, I have the worst top 8 matchups ever. So, like, I'm Manectric Jolteon. I'm against Garchomp. But I ended up winning because I teched a Zapdos, just a regular Zapdos. So I ended up beating Garchomp. And then I'm like, yes. And then I'm facing Night March in the top 4. I'm like, shoot. And this is a really good player. His name's Alex Stewart. And went to game 3, and it was just back and forth. And I ended up losing. And he ran Gallade. And I'm just like, I played it perfectly. The cards were great. Like, I just can't beat Night March with this deck. And Giratina was a way that I could be like, okay, I can beat Night March some of the time.
That's true.
So that's mainly why Giratina was there. Giratina is also really clutch against YZG, I found. Although straight electric, you can run flash energies, which are great, but Giratina is good against that. Giratina is also good against Mega Ray because once he's powered up, they can't, and he's easier to power up because they can't Lysandre and Hex in the same turn. So once Giratina is powered up, you Parallel City and you Chaos Wheel, and even if they're Lysandering, they're hitting you for 90, and you're just like, good game, because it's really good.
It's so dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. How helpful was the Mew? You talked about it some in the top 8, but did you ever use it overall?
Yeah, I used it a few times for sure. It's really good because it's usually taking 2 prizes and it's only giving up 1 prize. And that's something that is really nice in Manectric 1 prize attackers, because you can copy the Assault Laser is a really strong attack. Especially, I used it against Waterbox a couple times. Assault Laser is just really good. You can also copy Flash Ray, so that's nice against. I don't know. I was going to say Hydreigon, but they 1-hit KO it anyways. But I don't know. You have options with it, which is interesting. The biggest thing about it, why I ran the 2 Jolteon and the Mew, is they're perfect starter. You want to start with a guy with free retreat like that because you can Max Elixir to things on the bench. So by including another basic with free retreat, that's one less likelihood of opening with Hoopa or opening with Shaymin, which you don't, or Giratina or Trevenant, which you don't usually want to open with.
Okay. So you talked about the Max Elixir somewhat. How helpful was it out through the tournament? Some people, they played a Mega Turbo, which I know it's a little bit different, like in your build, because you're playing like all these different like attackers. But
yeah.
How helpful was it?
Yeah, so in States list, I ran 1 Mega Turbo mainly for Night March, because it's like, Night March is disgusting. Like, you set up and you attach your electric on the bench and your Spirit Link or whatever, and they can get 180 damage turn 1 and a Lysandre, and your energy's off. Like, your only hope then is a Mega Turbo. But with Max Elixir, you have 3 options. You can put energy on 2 places at the start, or whatever. You can accelerate faster to Jolteon or Giratina. It was really good. So instead of running a battle compressor engine, which is what I ran in the past, it was a Max Elixir engine, which I find is a lot faster. You're not whiffing the Max Elixirs very much, and even if you are, it's really not the end of the world because you have acceleration and things. It works really good. So I really like the Max Elixirs.
Okay. All right. So talking about your energy sum, it's 6 lightning, 2 DC, 2 psychic, and 2 grass energies. How did you decide to come up with this like crazy combination of 6, 2, 2, 2?
Okay, yeah. So before it was 6, 3, 2, 6 lightning, 3. No, it was 5, 3, 2. So it was 3 grass and 2 psychic, and the 3 grass were mainly to get Trev going faster against Greninja. And then I was like, how many Greninja am I really going to see? And in testing it out, I was like, I just want more lightning, really. Like, you really only need 1 lightning for all these attacks, and it can be any other energy for a Turbo Bolt or for Assault Laser. So I upped the lightning energy to 6, and then the 2-2, and then the 2 DCE came the night before when we were flying out with my Team Ruby's friends. I was testing with Kale Chalafu, and we were testing against Night March. I'm like, oh, this is really tough. I really have to try to improve this Night March matchup. And then in the evening, I was testing with TJ Tricure, who's also from Calgary as well. He's on my team, and I was like, I feel like DCE is what I need to help get Giratina going faster. And DCE also works on Jolteon to get him going faster, to kind of improve the Night March matchup. So that was the intention with it. And it helped in that slightly, but it helped overall in a lot of ways. Like getting Jolteon set up in 1 turn because you Max Elixir, you DCE, or whatever. Like you have options, right, to kind of get it set up faster, even in 2 turns, and even with the Giratina, it's really good. And also when your opponent is playing against you and they know you run DCE, it throws them off because they're like, oh, he could power up that Jolteon right away. Do I want to prioritize the Jolteon, or do I want to prioritize the Manectric that has an energy attached and could be mega next turn? So it makes it more difficult for your opponent too. So I really like the DCE, and also I was saying for Trevenant, you can Sky Return. It also gives you free retreat for Hoopa, essentially, because you can attach and discard.
That's true. Okay, that's a lot of good points. I like all those a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, so looking at your list, would you make any changes to it, or you think the list is perfect, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the last minute changes that I did, I'm just going to pull up my own list here. Originally I had a Super Rod, I had 2 Battle Compressor, and I had a 4th Elixir, but I only had 1 Jolteon. The reason for the Super Rod was I was like, okay, I can get back a Giratina, or I could get back a Jolteon, or I could get back a Mew, depending on what I need. So that way I can have those Pokemon. But then playing with it, I found that I wasn't hitting Super Rod when I needed it or when I wanted it. And oftentimes I just want 2 Jolteon. Especially for, like I was saying at the opening, the more free retreaters you have to open with, the better. And having that extra Jolteon, I actually opened with it a lot. And so it was really nice to have. So I ended up cutting the Super Rod for the 2nd Jolteon. I cut the 2nd Battle Compressor and the 4th Elixir for the 2 DCE. And I also had a promo Jirachi, because promo Jirachi helps a lot with Night March too, because you force them to time puzzle for different things, and you kind of make it becomes about their resource management as well, and you can kind of force that. But at the same time, I found when I'm playing Giratina, a good player will attach DCE to the bench, and then they'll pass or whatever, and then they'll attach DCE to the active and attack with the active, right? So they'll always try to have a DCE on board, and Jirachi's useless against that. So what I ended up swapping it with was Xerosic, and Xerosic is also really helpful against tools. So it won me a few games, actually getting like 180 damage on a Darkrai, and my opponent wouldn't like think of the play where I could Xerosic the Fighting Fury Belt, or they didn't know that I had Xerosic or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So you do sneaky plays like that, and it's really good. Also, Xerosicing a Double Dragon when you're also taking a KO on their guy is really powerful to kind of clear their energy. Okay, I got my list pulled up here. Really, the deck is kind of meta dependent. So I built this really for the Canadian Nationals meta and what I could foresee at the time. If you're not expecting much Greninja or Water Weak, it's like you don't really need the Trevenant. So you could swap that out for something. Though I did use Dark Forest as first attack. I used that for I think 3 games. I used it in my top 8 match to win game 1 actually. So like you Dark Forest once, so you do 20 to the Yveltal, you Dark Forest again, so he's got 40, and then the next turn you attach a 3rd energy and you knock out the active Yveltal. Because like sometimes you just play what your hands give you, right? And so if you build your deck in a way that allows you to get hands like that, it's handy. I'm looking at it. Yeah, I wouldn't really cut anything. A thing that a lot of people cut that I don't think they should cut is the Parallel City. Parallel City, when you're running Hoopa and you're running Shaymin, is so good. It's so good because you get rid of your Hoopa and your Shaymin, and then when the stadium's replaced, you have 2 more free bench space. So now you can bench whatever, another Manectric, another Shaymin if you want. Like it's so good, and you can also play it towards them against like YZG if you want to limit their ability to maxis. And against Mega Ray, like I was saying, you Chaos Wheel, Parallel City, so good. Something that I wanted more of, like a 4th Max Elixir is really good, but probably not necessary. Another Fighting Fury Belt, like if I had 2 Fighting Fury Belts, that would be really good for Giratina or for Jolteon or even for Mew, because oftentimes, like against Night March, you bench the Giratina and you attach Fighting Fury Belt, but they just megaphone and then they Lysandre it, and because Night March can do that every turn, they hit 180 turn 1, and so a 2nd Fighting Fury Belt would be nice. But other than that, like it just depends on the meta. I'd say what you cut, but the engine and the list is really solid, really consistent.
Okay, all right. So looking forward to Worlds. You had to play day 1. Are you nervous at all? Are you excited to play day 1? How you feeling about it?
Well, I'm trying to have an optimistic outlook, so I whiffed the day 2 invite. So since this is my first year, I think it's better if I play in day 1. I get more play experience at a high level. So now if I do advance to day 2, I feel like I will do better having played day 1. Like I'll have more play experience. I'll be feeling more comfortable with my deck. Even can you switch decks between days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe I'll like want to make some changes to my deck that I wouldn't have known really otherwise if I hadn't played day 1. So I think it's for the best that I'm in day 1. I'm really excited. I always do well in Swiss. In this first, like the worst finish I've ever had at like a regionals or anything was Vancouver regionals. My first tournament, I finished in like 34th. So like I usually just do really well in Swiss.
It's still really close, like 34th to. Well, I guess y'all had top 8, but still like top 32 stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, I'd only been playing like a month and a half. I was playing Toad Bats, and so it I don't know. Yeah, you love that deck too, right?
Oh yeah, it's my baby. I wish it was still decent.
Yeah, and expanded though. I played it at Edmonton Regionals. I got top 8, but I hit Trevenant in top 8. Like that's like your worst matchup, one of your worst matchups.
Yeah.
Other than like Clang or whatever, that steel type that's immune to EXs, and then
Plasma,
they lead with
plasma
they lead
cling
with
clang.
yeah, and they lead with Cobalion, and so they're knocking off your DZEs and they're immune to your damage, and you just oh my gosh, you just lose. So those are the types of matchups I hit in top 8 essentially. So I'm feeling okay for day one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. That's just going to be really cool because I just started playing. I watch all these videos and stuff, and so it'll be cool to meet everyone, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Now, have you tested? I mean, I know Nationals like what 2 weeks ago. Have you even like thought about testing for it yet, or no?
Well, my teammates, they're in the chat and they're talking about all these new cards and stuff. I also just got married like 3 weeks ago, so this has been a
Congrats.
crazy month. Thank you. Yeah, I got married like 2 weeks before Nats, so I didn't have much time to test for Nats, so I just kind of put it all together near the end. So I haven't tested too much. I have another deck that was really cool for Nationals as well, that like if I was in US Nats, I would have played that deck. So we'll have to see at Worlds, maybe that deck will be good then. I don't know. It depends. Like if Karen is coming out for Worlds, that's kind of what like everything's hinging on right now.
Yeah, that's what everybody's waiting for. Just 2 more weeks, guys. I think it's like 2 more weeks, and we'll find out for sure if Karen comes out or not. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right, man. Well, I know you said a couple of your players' names, but do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Oh, yes. I should have thought more about this. Yeah, so on my team, Drew Allen, he's the guy who like showed me his card collection like 10 months ago, and I was like, oh, I like the full art. It's really cool. And so then I bought a couple, and then I just started playing, and now all my decks are like max rare, like full bling and everything. So, yeah, so Drew Allen, thanks for that. And the other guys on my team, Simon Ford, and Jackson Ford is his son, and KL Chalafu I was mentioning for helping me prepare on the like plane ride out. Like we played for 3.5 hours straight. I really appreciate that. Thanks, KL. And TJ as well. So TJ, he was '1 in North America throughout the year, but I always have to face him at events, and so he's always like pushing me to get better. First event I played him at was the Cities. I beat him, and so that was exciting. And then I lost like the next 3 matches I had with him at Cities in a row. I was like paired with him round 1 and stuff, and I'm just like, shoot, I have to get better. So thanks TJ for pushing me to get better. And yeah, those are kind of like the main like core people on the team. Who else? Thanks to my mom for the Jolteon card. She got me that for my birthday a while back. So it's always cool to like come home and be like, hey mom, I played that that little electric dog, and she's like, oh yeah, that's one. I'm like, yeah, I played him, thank you for that. And so she's excited. so that's cool. Shout outs to my wife Charity for supporting me, even like we get married and we do the honeymoon, and she played a couple games with me on the honeymoon. Like she's amazing, so that's pretty fun.
Did she go to Nationals?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
No, she went with me to the World Beatbox Championships. They just happen every 3 to 4 years, so I went with her there, and that was fun. But it was a lot of like, I'm in beatbox mode, and I'm with all my beatbox friends, and she's like, well, what do I do? And it's tough. So we're trying to figure out like a Pokemon balance. So
I understand the struggle. I understand.
Yeah. And last but not least, shout outs to you, because I've always watched your videos when I first started playing and stuff, and your interviews and stuff. They're really cool. So thanks for your content and everything, and for featuring me on this interview.
Oh man, no, thanks to you for doing this interview. I know a lot of people have asked for your list and doing the interview and all this kind of stuff. So it's really cool that you picked me to do it. So I really do appreciate it. And cool. You talked about beatboxing some. I know you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it is the Peter Pot. Is my YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, just the Peter Pot. It's like Peter Pan, but a pot instead of a pan.
That's still really cool. Oh man.
Yeah,
but I'll have a link down below to his YouTube channel just in case you can't spell that for some reason. I'll have a link down below. So make sure you check it out and everything like that. And go subscribe as well. So there you go. But guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something new about this deck. You want to say anything else before we head out?
Well, if you wanted to do like a tips for beginner section, I list some like my 3 top tips that if you're like new to the game and you want to improve, tips that help me out. So I got that down, and like tips for like tournaments if you want to do well, if you want to get through Swiss consistently, that sort of thing. So we could do that now, or we could do a bonus segment, like whatever you.
We can do whatever you want to. What do you want to do?
All right. Well, let's do it as a bonus segment. So if people want to like sign off now, then they can. But if they want to see extra tips, then they can check those out.
There you go. So guys, if you want to see the next video after this will be some tips over for beginners if you want to learn that or not. If not, if you think you're comfortable with the nationals or tournaments right now, don't watch it unless you really still want to learn. I still watching beginner videos always. It's still really nice to get other players' inputs. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks to you for doing the video.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care. Alrighty. Bye. Alright, guys. Just want to give a quick shout out to our two sponsors, 60 Cards and Yeti Gaming. The links are down below to their websites. Make sure you go check them out. Alrighty.